You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show podcast on KPEL965.com.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Breaux Bridge, Lafayette, broadcasting from the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Studios.
In 3 hours, the Senate will be the jury. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, sworn in the day after House Republicans delivered impeachment articles against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, blaming him for record illegal immigration.
House impeachment managers like Florida Congresswoman Laurel Lee and some GOP senators are calling on Leader Schumer to hold a full trial.
The American people deserve to hear the same stories that we heard in the House of Representatives. The facts and the evidence that lead us to the conclusion that this was a necessary decision.
Some Democrats are calling on Leader Schumer to either table the articles or dismiss them, arguing the impeachment is political. Mayorkas is accused of not following the law and misleading the public about the border being secure.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz, the first of two hearings into Boeing safety, is about to start in the Senate related to concerns about recent incidents on Boeing jets and concerns about manufacturing. In the House, another hearing into anti-Semitism on college campuses is about to start, months after the contentious one that led to the presidents of Harvard and UPenn resigning. This morning, Columbia's president will testify. Moments ago at the Capitol before the hearing, a Jewish student at a Columbia-affiliated school, Yola Ashkenazi, says the university
has recognized clubs that say things like, quote, Zionists not invited, and the Holocaust wasn't that special.
As Israel keeps readying the response it vows to Iran's weekend attack, Fox's Trey Yingst reports from Tel Aviv.
Developing news out of northern Israel, where there was a Hezbollah attack drone that targeted a community center in a Bedouin village, injuring at least 13 people. This just gives you a sense of how active that northern front remains. And remember, Hezbollah is Iran's largest proxy in the region.
It's an off day at former President Trump's criminal trial in New York. They'll resume jury selection tomorrow. So far, 7 jurors have been chosen, while President Biden gets ready to go to Pittsburgh for day 2 of a 3-day trip to Pennsylvania, a key state in the Trump-Biden rematch. America's listening to Fox News.
All right, who's there for heroes or their families left behind when a service member or a first responder dies or is catastrophically injured in the line of duty? Who helps our country's homeless vets? I'll tell you who. It's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Never forget the sacrifices of our country's greatest heroes. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org, the letter T, number 2, letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered.
It's time to win cash. Get your KPEL News apps ready because here's your chance to win up to $30,000. Just enter the following code into your KPEL News app where it says win cash, and make sure you listen for more codes throughout the day because the more codes you enter, the better your chances. Here is your next code.
Are you ready for your 9 a.m. code? That code is 421. 421 is your 9 a.m. code.
Bikers Against Child Abuse, BACA, exists with the intent to create a safer environment for abused children. We exist as a body of bikers to empower children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. We stand ready to lend support to our wounded friends by involving them with an established, united organization. We work in conjunction with local and state officials who are already in place to protect children. We desire to send a clear message to all involved with the abused child that this child is part of our organization and that we are prepared to lend our physical and emotional support to them by affiliation and our physical presence. We stand at the ready to shield these children from further abuse. We do not condone the use of violence or physical force in any manner. However, if circumstances arise such that we are the only obstacle preventing a child from further abuse, we stand ready to be that obstacle. If you'd like to know more about BACA, please visit our website at bacaworld.org or call 1-866-71-ABUSE.
Russell Wilson here with Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids!
To get involved, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Donate!
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course!
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Bikers Against Child Abuse empowers children to not feel afraid of the world in which they live. For more information, visit BACAworld.org. Our helpline is 866-885-9474. BACA, breaking the chains of abuse.
This hour of the Moon Griffon Show is brought to you by 1% Lists Acadiana. Call Shannon LeBlanc today at 337-522-0682. Save on fees, not on service.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
Hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. It is already hump day. And it's great to be with you, folks. Wednesday, as we rock and roll toward the weekend. But all these weeks fly by. I don't know about y'all. You get older. Woo! Time flies. Get up in the morning, day's over. Go to bed, it really goes by fast. Anyway, great to have you back with us. 844-766-6607 is the number. It's the Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management Hotline. Gifford Briggs will join us a little later. I think I got, who else do I have? I thought I had a couple guests. Well, hoping to get somebody on with Faza from the Heritage Foundation. Talk a little bit about what we've been watching and what's really happening with all that, as we all are disappointed about Faza being extended. As we find out more about the extension, it's really frustrating. Also, the Constitutional Convention, they were punching back on that yesterday as it made it through the legislature. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Got a report from the rich state, poor state. And, you know, we talk about economies and economic growth, and we didn't have any under Bill Edwards. It was all federal money. All this stuff in the newspaper and Devil's Advocate and all these people bragging about, Bill, all he did for Bill. Went in the Hall of Fame, and the legendary backstabber Jay Darden bragging about it. He's the greatest governor ever. And this dude hurt us so bad economically, it's not even funny. And the whole key to changing the tax structure and everything that we want to do, I'm just going to tell y'all, they can go pass every law they want to pass. But the general deal is real simple. Take care of your business side. Make that meaningful. Make that where we make this the friendliest business state in the country, not the South, but in the country. And we won't know what to do with the money we got coming in. But you can't. What we're trying to do, and we've been attacking this thing for 100 years. Just answer that and ask him if he's got a few minutes this morning. I'll call him back. So what it takes is, and I'm just telling you, and I know what I'm talking about on this. It's going to take us to do. Okay? Just telling you right now, I know what I'm talking about. It's going to take us to become the friendliest business state in the country to change everything. Okay? I'm just being blunt with you. Pays all the bills they want, insurance, everything. It's going to take us to be a friendly business state. If we're a friendly business state, we'll be friendly business state to insurance companies to come in here and compete. It's a fact. Okay. That's just a fact. So I'm just telling you that without doing that, we go run around all this frou-frou stuff. Until we do that, we're not changing the state. You can't. Because you can't be a beggar state begging for federal money like Bell Edwards put us on. You can't be a state that just We make it better for the poor people than we do for the people who are pulling the wagon. We're making it better for the people sitting on the wagon than the people that are pulling the wagon. You can't build a state like that. You can't build it on Medicaid. You can't build it on raising the minimum wage. You can't build it on Green New Deal, crazy Looney Tune stuff, carbon capture, windmills, and solar power. All that's a joke. Oil and gas industry ought to be what they ought to be pushing. You can't build it on this. But we're not going to change the state if we don't change the economic development jobs deal where we can stop the out-migration. Now, I'll give you an example, and I will have, it looks like I'll be able to get Jonathan Williams on. I'm going to try to get him. Walker, do that. Just send that to him, ask him if 1006 is good. The 337 number that I give him. I'll send it to him. I'm going to give him a call and a call-in number. So I have Jonathan on about this. But Louisiana dead last in economic performance. This is all the time. This is all the time. Report released this week ranked Louisiana last for economic performance nationally and 31st for economic outlook. The Virginia-based American Legislative Exchange Council ranked Louisiana 50th in the 17th edition of Rich State, Poor State report for its economic performance. Can't fix schools, can't fix roads, can't fix nothing without doing what I'm telling you. You can't. I'm just telling you right now, it's impossible, absolutely impossible to fix without this changing. And Bell Edwards, for the 8 years, ruined this. Nobody looked at it. Nobody, oh, Bell, he did a great job with COVID. He crushed us with COVID. Well, he did a great job on the hurricanes. Oh, begging for federal money. That's what I'm telling you. We don't have to, folks, I'm telling you, go to these other states, it's just the economies roar compared to us, and we don't even try to change it. And I'm hoping Jeff, and I know some of the things that he's trying to do, will change it. But the problem is, when we try to change it, we got the bureaucracy saying, oh, no, we can't do that. The report authored by author laughers Stephen Moore and Jonathan Williams, who I'm hoping to have on in just a little bit, uses 15 variables to measure states' economic performance and outlook. The author says states that pay down their debt, cut taxes. We raised $7 billion worth of taxes. And enact free market pro-growth policies tend to perform better economically and lure new residents. We don't do any of that. We had guys last year try to pay a lot more of the budget down, and of course, Edwards and Shake Snod and Blank Page. Oh, no, we can't do that. You know, we didn't want to change anything. The authors found gross domestic product grew 19.56% between 2012 and 2022. Edwards was the governor 8 of those 10 years. When put the state 49th place. State's labor market between 2013 and 2022 shrank, ranking 45th. During the same period, the state lost 207,645 residents, 8 spots from the bottom. Folks, we lost most of theirs under Bell Edwards. If you go look, I looked at the census. They took it in 2010. Okay? They took it in 2010. So between 2010 and 2020 when they took the new one, we lost most of those from the time Bell Edwards came in 2026 to 2020 census. But he's a great governor, Hall of best governor we ever had, according to the legendary backstabber Jay Darden. Folks, these numbers are horrible, and we don't even try to do anything to fix them. I think Jeff and them are trying. You know? State worker compensation cost $2.13 per $100 for payroll for 46, and high sales tax burden, number one in the country. Bell Edwards put us number one in the country, led the charge with Republicans. Paula Pelosi Davis and that group. Sales tax burden, $37.52 per thousand, a personal income for 46. See, we don't have the numbers right. And we can't have the numbers right unless we change the policies. And we can't change the policies when we got the bureaucrats wanting to stop everything. They come up with get rid of the income tax. Oh, we can't do that. We got $5 billion. Can we worry about people in the state and their children for once more than what government gets? Just one time. Can we do it one time in our whole state's existence? Can we just do it one time where we put people ahead of state government and local governments? That's our problem. We keep putting government first, which makes everybody last. Government cannot be the train engine, okay, and economic development and jobs are the train and the caboose. Government has to be the caboose. Government has to get theirs last, not first. Last, not first. Somebody's got to create wealth and create taxes for government to have one dime. Not cutting government. Government's legitimately part of the train. It should be the caboose, not the engine. And when it's the engine, that's our problem. This is so easy. This is so easy. I could explain this to Bell Edwards. He couldn't understand it. You can explain it to the devil's advocate. They can never understand what I just told you. They end up saying while the federal government continues their never-ending descent into record-setting $35 trillion worth of debt. The only last point of the frugal for fiscal sanity rests in the 50 laboratories of democracy of the states. Americans are voting with their feet, fleeing high taxes, high regulation states like California, New York, Illinois, and Louisiana for pro-growth, pro-employment havens like Utah, Idaho, Arizona, Texas. Arizona, where leaders rely on a set of free market principles and pro-taxpayer reforms that landed those states at the top of the 4 rankings. Among the neighbors, Texas received high marks in 6th place for both its economic performance and outlook. Arkansas ranked 15th and Mississippi's 18th. We're 50th. Arkansas and Mississippi. Remember we used to laugh at them? Not no more. Since Bell Edwards strolled through, they laugh at us. Great governor, huh? Great governor, really. That's until we get this part right, forget everything else. Just telling you, forget it. All right, let's go. Let's take a break. 844-766-6607. We take a break. We'll be back. You're listening to The Moon Griffon Show.
It's springtime, and that means garden time here in Louisiana, and Louisiana-owned and operated Stein is where you need to go to get all the great deals on plants and everything else you need for that brand new flower bed you've been wanting to make. Stein has great deals on garden soil, mulch, weed and ant killer, everything you need to lay the groundwork for that brand new flower bed, plus assorted flowers and vegetables in jumbo 6-packs starting at just $2.79. The weather is perfect, and that means you have the opportunity to start bringing those great blossoms into your yard today. Plus, springtime means outdoor cooking, grills, charcoal and propane burners, all of that you need you can find online at steinhome.com. Louisiana-owned and operated, Stein is your place for the gardening and outdoor grilling you need to take advantage of this spring. Check out everything they have to offer online at steinhome.com. That's steinhome.com. Check them out today.
When you think about how you'll spend your money in retirement, what comes to mind? Probably travel, sunny beaches, and spoiling your grandchildren. But a recent survey found that over 30% of every dollar a retiree spends goes to taxes. Baby boomers were told for years to save money in their IRAs and 401ks and pay taxes later. Well, now that day has arrived, and boomers are shocked to see a third of their money going back to Uncle Sam. John Blanchard and the Matthew James Financial Group can help. What if you could protect all or most of your retirement wealth from future tax rate increases? Achieve a zero or near zero effective tax rate for most of your retirement years. Find out more. 337-366-8366. Isn't it time you got a second opinion on your wealth and retirement outlook? Learn how you could potentially kick the IRS out of your IRA. 337-366-8366 and online at MatthewJames.com.
Some days,
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. What a great day. Great day to be with you. By the way, from the Heritage Foundation, Stephen Bradbury will join us. He is the Distinguished Fellow of the Heritage Foundation. We will be talking about, we'll come out of the next break, about Pfizer. What is it? What does it do? And is it dangerous what we just passed out of the House? We'll get him, Mr. Bradbury, to talk to us about that, to give us a little bit more insight to exactly everything that's going on. So, by the way, yesterday in the House floor, Senator Blake Miguez, I love saying that, he won so big. Senate Bill 195, which basically, check this out, folks. It just requires able-bodied adults between 18 and 52, okay? You can be black or white, green or yellow, it doesn't matter. I want you to think about what I'm getting ready to share with you. Able-bodied adults between 18 and 52 without dependents, no children, okay, to go back to work after being on food stamps for 3 months. What is wrong with that? So you go 3 months, you're able, you're an adult between 18 and 52, and you don't get food stamps anymore after 3 months, and you got to go work to get them. Yesterday, when Miguez was doing this, almost the entire Democrat delegation came to the floor asking questions and against the bill. Who's against? Walker, how old are you? 22. You're an able body. You're not injured. You're not hurt. You think you ought to have to go to work? Or you think you ought to be able to go get food stamps? Yeah, sure you should be working. The bill's so simple, folks. Bill Edwards could understand it. But Democrats never understand. How do they fight for people, able bodies, no dependents, no children, in other words, no children at all? You get 3 months of food stamp, you can't find a job. I thought Bill Edwards left us with all these jobs. I thought we got all these jobs. You mean to tell me they can't go find a job? They don't want to find a job. And the Democrats are coming to the party. Miguez had to stand there for an hour, which by the way, when I'm just talking to other senators, nobody stands there for an hour answering stupid questions. All the neighboring states do this. All they want to think about what I'm telling you. How many of you people think if you're 18 to 52 and you don't have any kids that you ought to be on food stamps? Healthy, 18 to 52. This is so simple. I'm telling you, even the Gannett newspaper, Greg Hillman and the Tyler Bridges could understand this. All our other states do it. Anyway, the Senate passed it 28-11. Republicans voted for the bill, and the Democrats voted against the bill because they want big government, they want dependency. My God, 18 to 52. You don't want to go to work so you can eat? I mean, this is crazy. See, folks, this is what I mean. This is what I mean, though, about Louisiana not wanting to get better. We made it great to be poor. Bill Edwards took that trajectory even worse. Put them on Medicaid, get minimum wage increase, give them more food stamps. And I'm not talking about blacks. I'm talking about people, 18 to 52. I don't care if you're white as a sheet of paper. You ought to go to work. You can't pay for your own food. I mean, this makes no sense, folks. It's Senate Bill 195 passed overwhelmingly with the problem. What are Democrats doing for their people? Keeping them poor, keeping them uneducated, and voting for them so they can give you something. I don't want that from the Democrats. If you're voting for the Democrats, quit wanting something from them people. All they're doing is using you. Simple. 18 to 52. Other states have it all around us. You're 18 to 52 years and you don't have any kids? You ain't getting food stamps more than 3 months. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing every day when you get up? Do you even get up? And they got Democrats fighting this and fighting this. And this is Bill Edwards' party. This is the party of Joe Biden and Barack Obama. The party of men can have babies. The party of men should be able to play in girls' sports. The party of wiping out every child that you want to kill. That's this party. The party of hate, the party of filth, The party that leaves the borders open. The party that doesn't care how much debt you run up. And they're sitting there arguing about how this is wrong. And I will say that if you go in front of anybody, 18 to 52, anybody with common sense at all would say, if that person's able-bodied with no kids, they don't need a food stamp. Let them go pay for their own by working. What's hard with working? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. But Blake's getting ripped for no reason. Anyway, when we get back, Heritage Foundation, Pfizer. How bad is this thing? We're getting ready to find out. Hey, folks, this is Moon Griffon. I built my dream home. Start imagining your dream home. And when you do, make sure you call my friends or get in touch with my friends at Schumacher Homes. SchumacherHomes.com, SchumacherHomes.com. When you tour Schumacher Model Home, you're in control. Stop by during operating hours and tour at your own pace. There's a reason my friends at Schumacher have been building homes for over 30 years. They're committed to making the home building process as enjoyable, simple, and hassle-free as possible. Call them or visit them, SchumacherHomes.com. SchumacherHomes.com to schedule your free, no-obligation design and pricing meeting. Hey, it's an hour or two of your time working on your dream home. And my friends over at Schumacher Homes just announced some exciting news. You can get a mortgage rate as low as 2.875% when you finance with Schumacher Homes. That is 2.875% when you finance with Schumacher Mortgage. Hey, the whole Schumacher team is dedicated to making sure your dream home becomes a reality. SchumacherHomes.com, SchumacherHomes.com. Folks, remember the name All Field Equipment, allfieldequipment.com. When I say All Field, that's ALL Field.com. All Field Equipment, founded in 2016 by my good friend, Mr. Bill Allen, with over 50 years' experience in the oil and gas industry. Hey, this is a great company to do business with. Whether it's production equipment, control valves, controller, glyco pumps, chemical pumps, chokes, Wilden pumps, Barton recorders, Allfield has new, rebuilt, and parts. Allfield handles some of the industry's top brands such as Norseal, Fisher, and Kimray. On the supply side, Allfield has anything from Q-tips to appliances to general Allfield supplies. Allfield is one of the largest suppliers of bottled water in the Gulf. And remember, Allfield never changes transportation. Like the name says, Allfield has it all, covering the Architects area and the Gulf of Mexico. Allfield Equipment, 337-837-1003, 337-837-1003. Hello, Acadiana.
This hour of the Moon Griffon Show is brought to you by 1% List Acadiana. Call Shannon LeBlanc today at 337-522-0682. Save on fees, not on service.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, 844-766-6607. Matthew James Tax Wealth Management Hotline. It is an honor to have Stephen G. Bradbury joins us. He is a distinguished fellow at the Heritage Institute. Mr. Bradbury, thank you on such short notice. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, my pleasure, Moon. It's great to be with you. Thanks.
Well, you got to help us out. We looking at this FISA thing that's been passed out of the House. I love Mike Johnson. I got to tell you, a personal friend of mine, been on this program 1,000 times. Just disappointed in what's going on. And I kind of want you to explain this bill and how bad this bill really is. Unless you think it's good, I want you to explain to me how bad this bill really is.
Well, Moon, I'll be somewhere in the middle, okay? I see some good things, but some bad things. And, ready to be candid and lay them out, lay the cards on the table.
I want you to.
So I think people understand this very powerful surveillance tool that comes out of the wake of 9/11, and it's been around for years. It's been reauthorized several times. We're not talking about FISA as a whole. We're talking about one part of it.
Sure.
Section 702 program, very powerful, supposed to be focused on bad foreign targets, foreign nationals, not U.S. citizens outside the U.S., but it does collect a lot of communications of U.S. citizens, Americans, who communicate with those foreigners. So super sensitive and very powerful tool. Obviously, in recent years, the FBI and other components of the federal government have been abusing their national security authorities, particularly the FBI, and they've abused FISA. We know they abused the other parts of FISA, traditional FISA, in the crossfire hurricane of the Trump investigation of the Trump campaign in 2016, but also this 702 program. The FBI has dipped in to the 702 database to gather information about Americans more than 278,000 times improperly without any national security purpose. And the FISA court has exposed that in opinions that they've declassified. So there are huge problems, Moon, with the way the FBI has been involved in this program. We had recommended that what Congress should do is just cut the FBI out of the program altogether. Just insulate the FBI from any involvement. But also Congress should undertake very fundamental reforms. Frankly, they should rebuild the FBI from the ground up. But apart from that, they got to fix the problems with FISA that led to the Carter-Page FISA order in 2016, et cetera. So Congress has taken up the charge of reforming FISA and restricting the FBI's involvement in 702. And that is reflected in the bill that passed the House on Friday. There are people, I do think, need to know there are a lot of important and positive reforms, limitations on FISA, restrictions on the FBI, et cetera. The problem is it just doesn't go quite far enough. And Andy Biggs from Arizona and others proposed a requirement that if you're going to use this 702 collection to gather information about Americans, U.S. persons, American citizens or lawful permanent residents, you should have to get a court approval to do that, a warrant or a FISA order from the court. That was the warrant requirement amendment. Unfortunately, and, a lot of us supported that very strongly. Unfortunately, on Friday, that amendment came up for a vote, and it was defeated. The vote was 212 to 212. And quite unfortunately, Speaker Johnson voted against it, as did Mike Turner, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee.
Can I ask you a quick question? Why do you think, and look, I know Mike. Everything Mike's talked about FISA was against what he just did. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Why do you think he did that? Do you have any idea, inkling, why he did that? I mean, because you're right. You not only were y'all, but most of the conservative groups out there, and the thing that got Trump, it seemed like that would have been a no-brainer. To me, it does, and to a lot of people. Like I said, I don't want him to get thrown out as speaker. But the fact is, that was a bad vote, Mr. Bradbury.
I think he took his lead from the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner, who in turn is channeling the views of the national security establishment. And there's no doubt that all of the intelligence agencies were coming in and meeting with members of Congress and the committees behind closed doors in secret to tell them how the sky would fall if this amendment were passed. And I expect that the speaker put his confidence in the chairman of the Intel Committee for this on this issue. I think there's another thing, though, that people need to understand. There's some very bad provisions in the bill that passed. I talked about the good stuff, and I don't want to minimize the good reforms, but there's some bad things in there. And this kind of goes back to Chairman Turner, Mike Turner of the Intel Committee. He had an amendment that unfortunately passed by a pretty wide margin, actually, in the House on Friday. That's an amendment that actually expands this Section 702 program. So Congress is not only reauthorizing it, they are very significantly expanding it by expanding the definition of the kind of communications companies and entities that can receive orders from the government to participate in this program. And that's something that everybody should be concerned about. And, the bill's moved over to the Senate, and I know there will be some senators, Senator Lee, maybe Senator Rand Paul, maybe others, who will probably propose amendments to try to strip that out.
But Mr. Bradbury,
very, very concerning.
I know, but let me go back to something you said that bothered me, and I know that you're on top of this way more than a guy like me sitting in Lafayette, Louisiana. But what disturbs me about Congress and life, I guess, is that when you say there's some good stuff in it, but boy, there's some real bad stuff, that's a bad bill. That was a horrible bill then, and I got that yesterday, that this expanded it even worse. So it made it even a worse bill. Yeah. So that's why somebody like Mike Johnson's getting beat up right now, is because this is a horrible bill for the American citizens. And so you can always put some good in a bad bill, but I always look at it. You can have a bill that's 10% horrible, and it's a bad bill. And that's what, when you said that, it kind of bothered me a little bit. Not you said it, but just I thought about, wow, if it's got all this bad in it, and I know you're not focusing on the good, you're telling us about it, but I go, wow, it's a bad bill. This looks like a horrible bill for the citizens of the United States of America, to me.
Yeah.
You correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm willing to listen.
No, that is it's a very troubling provision that expands. I mean, it can now reach contractors, companies that may be contractors that have access to equipment that may contain communications the government wants to get its hands on. And so just think about maybe even like janitorial contractors, right, who have access. They get the key because they get to come in at night and clean up the data center, and maybe they have access to equipment that holds communications the government wants, and now they can maybe receive an order from the government requiring them to give the government access to these to the computers or computer servers. That's a tremendous expansion of the universe of companies that could receive orders to participate in this program. I know that sounds technical, but it's a concerning expansion. And, there's no basis, there's no case for Congress to expand this program. What we should be doing is putting restrictions on it and reforming the agencies that use it and the way it's used, and protecting the civil liberties of Americans and not expanding the scope of the program.
Because I didn't get to talk to you, Mr. Bradbury, do you have a few more minutes, or do you need to go?
Yes.
Okay, what I'm going to do, let me take a quick break. Just come back and a little bit more Q&A. His name is Stephen Bradbury. He's kind enough to come on the program this morning, distinguished fellow at the Heritage Foundation. A little bit more on FISA, his thoughts, what he knows about it. We appreciate him. We'll take a break. Be right back. From the humbling beginning, Dino Hardwoods is striving to provide superior service and quality products for their customers. Hey, I know Charles Altman. He does a great job. If you're looking for lumber, Dino Hardwood stocks a large selection of domestic and import hardwood lumber and cypress. You ought to see their stuff. Exotic lumber, they got that as well. Trust in Dino Hardwoods when it comes to your exotic lumber needs right now. Molding, plywood, paint, and L products, they are ready for you. They got 3 great locations. Their corporate office is right here in Broussard, Louisiana. There's an office in Shreveport on 2801 Valley View Drive, and one in Tyler, Texas, 12492 Highway 155 North. Hey, if you're looking for something different and something new and somebody who will service you, it's Dino Hardwoods. I'm telling you, don't forget Dino Hardwoods. DinoHardwoods.com, DinoHardwoods.com. Great locations. They can service you. They can deliver. DinoHardwoods.com. Check out this great Louisiana company. Folks, you hear me brag about an advertisement. South Star Urgent Care is the name you need to know. Listen, you look up, you're in the middle of the night, you're looking, God, where do we go? South Star Urgent Care. They open on weekends, they open at night, they can get you taken care of. If you're sick, if you're feeling bad, maybe you coughing, dehydrated, fever, flu, fracture, South Star Urgent Care wants to service you, and they're going to treat you like you want to be treated. They're going to get you in, get you out. You're not going to sit in a dark waiting room for a bunch of times. South Star Urgent Care. Go to SouthStarMoon.com, SouthStarMoon.com. You know, you can register before you go and set your appointment. Hey, it's really cool. These folks at South Star greet you with a genuine smile and make you feel very comfortable. Folks, you're looking for the perfect urgent care? It's South Star Urgent Care. Go to SouthStarMoon.com, SouthStarMoon.com. South Star Urgent Care. It's the urgent care you need. Go to SouthStarMoon.com, SouthStarMoon.com.
Hi, this is Code.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. What an honor. Great to have you with us today on Hump Day. 844-766-6607. Matthew James, Tax and Wealth Management Hotline. It's an honor to have Mr. Stephen Bradbury, distinguished fellow at the Heritage Foundation. We're also talking a lot about the FISA warrants. Mr. Bradbury, the bad things in there, expanding it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to say this, but I don't want to put you in too much politics. Why would any person that was a Republican or conservative vote for that bill? And I know in Mike Johnson's case, I had Mike on his program, had him on here 2 weeks ago, the speaker. That's something that he went against big time, was against the FISA bill. And especially dealing with the 702 provision. So yeah. I know they listen to the people there, but I know a lot of people were getting to them not to do that. I mean, what makes somebody want to go vote for something like that? I don't understand, because we are constituents of his, and we're just trying to figure out what is the deal.
Right. Well, I'm not a member of Congress. It's difficult for me to put myself in their heads, but I guess I would offer that, it's not a surprising dynamic that when you're in government office like that and you're asked to vote on something and the powers that be in the intelligence community come in and tell you, oh, this will be very bad for the country, very dangerous, because look at all these things we're looking at. Look at all these foreign threats and the possibility that something could go terribly wrong, and this is something we really need. And the chairman of the Intelligence Committee stands up and trumpets that position. It's very hard for the average member of Congress who maybe isn't privy to all the information, or maybe gets a high-level classified briefing, for 15 minutes. It's very hard for that human being to put his name on the line and vote against national security. So that's just, a dynamic that's long been the case in Washington. And
but you know that
that's psychological, but it's
I know it is. It's like I told people yesterday. I get Mike knows a lot more than any of us know. But man, the perception of this thing is bad, and then you tell me it's expanded. So the perception really is the reality, and you're not going to beat back. You're not going to beat the swamp back until you quote beat the swamp back. And the bureaucracy is running everything now. Mr. Bradbury, and that's what frustrates me. This looked like an easy, low-hanging fruit win for us, and we didn't grab it. I know what you're saying, but it looks like an easy win, and we didn't grab it.
Yeah, especially in light of all the abuses that are on the public record. It's time to ratchet down and restrict, if not eliminate. It's not time to expand. It's sending exactly the wrong message. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, and that's our frustration right now. Everybody that understood enough about it, I guess sometimes you can understand enough to be dangerous. But when I talk to people like you, which I would consider an expert compared to us, you worked in the Trump administration, you saw what they did to President Trump, you see what they're doing to him now. And Mike Johnson is really close to President Trump. It's just a fact. He is. Yeah. I would think that this would have been pretty easy for him. Boy, when it's 212 to 212 and the speaker normally doesn't vote, and you vote, boom, it's on you. That's just unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
Definitely right. That's the way it is. You're calling out.
Okay, let me ask another question. If Okay, so they passed this, and I look for the Senate to even make it worse. You're talking about Chuck Schumer now. But can they come back and try to change something out, or you think once this is done, this is what we're going to have to live with?
Well, first of all, there is still hope in the Senate that it might be amended to strip this out. And I think there will be another effort in the Senate to try to get the warrant requirement in that failed in the House. I don't see much prospect at all in the Senate for that, unfortunately, but there you are. But they might strip out the bad things. So there is still hope. I think once it passes, they're lining up to vote by Friday because that's when this program expires, is Friday. This would be a 2-year extension on the program. Originally, it was going to be 5, but to get agreement on the bill last Friday from the holdout Republicans, whose votes they needed, they reduced it down to 2 years. So that means if President Trump wins re-election, it'll come up for renewal again during the next president's term.
But the
original idea was.
He needs the Senate and the House.
I was about to say, but what I was about to say is I would expect it not to come back to the House for another go at this. I expect the Senate will take the House bill. They might add, they might subtract to it, but basically it'll be the House bill. And then once that passes the Senate, if it's different, it'll have to come back to the House. So
they're not going to make it different. They don't want it back to the House because by then, some people will say no.
Yeah,
I think
that's the way it works. It's the middle of the day on Wednesday. This thing has to get done by Friday. That's the way they're looking at it, and so it'll probably be 2 years. We'll have to live with this, and the next president will have the opportunity to change it because it's up for renewal again in 2 years. The whole program, you see, you don't need a majority in both houses for the president to stop it the next time. You see what I'm saying? It would sunset even if you don't have control of one or the other house.
Yeah, so, it's just all puzzling. We live in a time, and I know you, my age or older, and we live in a time where everything, it seems to. Any bill we seem to need to beat, we lose. Every bill we want to kill, it seems to pass. People who love the country. I'm talking about not people that just wake up and say, I'm voting Democrat and they don't care what they do. I'm talking about people that really love the country. Every time we need a Republican and we get in a big place, and this is my opinion, that Republican doesn't come through for us. It's always one or two that seems to mess it up. And that's just my perspective. It's just me watching stuff for a long time. And that's my frustration.
I have a feeling your perspective is pretty accurate. It seems pretty accurate to me. It always seems like the other side sticks to their guns and gets done what they need to get done for their point of view.
I'm starting to wonder why vote Republican. There's too many of them that still act like Democrats. And it's very frustrating to watch. When Mike Johnson got this job, I happened to have the opportunity to host Dan Bongino about a half a dozen times. I had Mike on there once or twice. And when he got the job, I went on and on about it. And I'm getting beat up by some of Bongino's people now. I love him to death. Not Bongino, not his staff, but just on the side.
He is.
I know him. He's a great guy.
He is a good man, and he's a good, representative of Louisiana, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just know that Mike Johnson and the speeches he made and the fights he put up was against everything. Not everything, but some of the stuff he's doing. That's where I'm having the problem. That's the problem I'm dealing with right now because I know Mr. Bradbury, the guy before he became Speaker, and what he's doing on some of these, even the budget, illegals. We were going to do something about the border, just things like that, just budget extent. He talked against all this, and yet now that he's got the job, he's just moving along with it. And that's my frustration with Mike and for Mike. I just don't know why. Anyway, listen, you've been great. You came in and real quick and you put this together, and I God bless you. I hope we'll have you back soon to get some more knowledge from you, and we do appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be on. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for your voice. So important.
All right, Mr. Stephen Bradbury, of course, Distinguished Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Don't go nowhere, folks. My friend is coming on, Jonathan Williams. And you don't want to miss this. Rich State, Poor State. Stick around. You're listening to The Moon Griffon Show. Line One is a business telecom provider. Line One specializes in cloud-based communication with superior customer service. If you're frustrated with phone bills you can't understand, endless hold time to customer support, and phone system that is not meeting your needs, then you need to go to Line.1 and schedule a free consultation to advance your business phone system. Line One, technology with a human touch. Go to Line.1 and tell them Moon sent you. Again, that is Line.1.
You know all those
News Talk, 96.5, KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the Matthew James Financial Studio.
Another university president testifying on Capitol Hill. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The ultimate answer to anti-Semitism and all its forms is education.
Columbia President Manoush Shafiq at a House hearing into anti-Semitism on college campuses after loud pro-Palestinian protests accusing Israel of genocide in Gaza. She says they've taken action implementing
enhanced reporting channels for incidents, hiring additional staff to investigate complaints, developing new policies on demonstrations.
This 4 months after a contentious hearing led the presidents of Harvard and UPenn to resign. Now, before the hearing, Columbia student Eden Yadiger spoke out at the Capitol.
Many Jewish students are too fearful to report incidents of discrimination and harassment that occur both in and out of the classroom because of how little faith they have that the university will take the necessary steps to protect them.
At another hearing, Boeing is under scrutiny. Republican Senator Ted Cruz just said,
flying commercial remains the safest way to travel. But understandably, recent incidents have left the flying public worried.
Leading to concerns about Boeing 737 MAX 9 jets and 787 Dreamliners after whistleblowers question the manufacturing process. Boeing insists the planes are safe. In 2 hours, senators will be sworn in as jurors, though Democrats may not even hold a trial for the Homeland Security Secretary, like Republicans demand. They call impeachment a sham. The House accused Alejandro Mayorkas of ignoring laws allowing record illegal immigration. President Biden will soon head to Pittsburgh, pushing increased tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminum.
The Pittsburgh-based United Steelworkers Union proposed the measures that Biden's announcing. They endorsed him last month, but the U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai will have the final say. And the renewed focus on steel shows just how important Pennsylvania is to the 2024 election. Trump made support for the steel industry a key pillar of his 2016 and 2020 campaigns.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. The former president is not in court. It's an off day to his criminal trial in New York. They'll resume jury selection tomorrow. America's listening to Fox News.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is Medi-Share. Maybe you've heard switching to Medi-Share to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for Medi-Share is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. Medi-Share works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 877-64-BIBLE. That's 877-64-BIBLE. 877-64-BIBLE.
Court-appointed special advocates, or CASA, are specially trained volunteers that help secure safe homes for abused and neglected children. Don't let these innocent victims slip through the cracks of our complicated legal system. Get involved today. Call CASA at 268-5111. This nonprofit organization moment brought to you by News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Hi, I'm Dale Brown, best-selling techno-thriller author. I'm also a mission pilot and squadron commander in the Civil Air Patrol. The members of the Civil Air Patrol are volunteer professionals who serve their communities and their nation every day with emergency services, aerospace education, and cadet programs. We train hard, we fly hard, and we get the job done for America. Join the Civil Air Patrol. Visit www.gocivilairpatrol.com and let's go flying.
I'm Paul George at the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
It's time to win cash. Get your KPEL News apps ready because here's your chance to win up to $30,000. Just enter the following code into your KPEL News app where it says win cash, and make sure you listen for more codes throughout the day because the more codes you enter, the better your chances. Here is your next code.
And here's that 10 o'clock code. Your 10 a.m. code is 189. Your 10 a.m. code is 189.
The views expressed in the following show are those of the hosts or hosts only. They do not represent News Talk 96.5 KPEL or Town Square Media.
Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. What a day. What a day. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Matthew James, Tax Wealth Management Hotline. An opportunity you can be a voice. You can always email me, moon at moongriffon.com. It is an honor to have a gentleman I've had on a few times, Mr. Jonathan Williams, with our friends at the American Legislative Exchange Council. They call him ALEC. And a Rich State, Poor States Economic Performance is out, 17th edition. Jonathan, how you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm doing well, my friend. Greetings from the land of make-believe out here in Washington, D.C., and happy tax week, if you can call it that. I guess it's only happy because tax filing is now behind us again, so that's a good thing.
I would just call it tax week. The heck with happy. Hey, if you're a business owner like me and you pay quarterly, I call it, we go cash flow po. When you pay taxes.
That's
you go,
right.
Cash flow po is where you are now, I promise you. Anyway, it's
yeah.
Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got away from the income tax and didn't have to worry about these either quarterly filings or the IRS deadline on April 15th? That was what we're working on, the Steve Forbes flat tax idea and the postcard return.
But the problem with that is, and Washington can't control you, and you're asking people in Washington, and you combine 100 senators and 435 House members, you got the dumbest collection of people in the world. That's the problem with it, my friend.
Well, I'll tell you what, was it, I forget if it was Reagan that always liked to say, or it might have been Bill Buckley, that, he'll trust a random selection of individuals out of a Boston phone directory to run Congress better than the Harvard faculty, right?
Oh, no doubt. I think you'd have way better luck just going down the phone book. There's no doubt in my mind. All right, Jonathan, so 17th edition of Rich State, Poor State, but Louisiana, at least we're not 51st, but you only counted 50 states, I think. So talk a little bit about this ranking. It's based off of 15 different variables. Talk a little bit about what it was based off of, and then we'll get into a little bit of the detail of it.
Well, I wish I had better news there. I mean, I guess, yeah, you're right. The only good news is we're not judging based on President Obama's 57 states. We're judging on the 50-state breakdown here, and Louisiana's economic performance is dead last. And we look at, for that to get there, look at things like the overall economic growth, looking at the job growth over the last decade, and then looking at, I think, one of the most instructive pieces of data that's out there as Americans vote with their feet away from states that lack economic opportunity and towards states that have economic freedom. We look at that net domestic migration across the 50 laboratories of democracy. And all those three factors, Louisiana's ranking is very poor, and that hence the 50th out of 50 economic performance ranking for the 17th edition of their state's poor states.
Yeah, it's a shame. And I was saying earlier, if you don't get the economic part right and the job right and the business-friendly environment right, you can't get anything else right. You're going to need more taxes. You're going to need – it just changes everything. But when you're at the top, it makes a big, big difference on which way you can go, what you can do in your state.
Well, absolutely. And look at the top states, and these are all states with big budget surpluses after they've cut taxes or in a lot of cases avoided income taxes altogether versus the folks in the cellar dwellers, a lot of times big deficits in the states like California and New York and some of the big government states. One really interesting thing here, Moon, is I was looking at the data that I think is terrifying if I was a Louisiana legislator, is one of the ways that we rank the economic competitiveness of the states in this report is we look at which states have been cutting taxes on net over the last couple of years and which states have been raising taxes on net. And no surprise to you, I know you follow it closely, but Louisiana was one of only 3 states in America over the last 2 years, 2023 and 2022, that on net raise people's tax burdens. Yeah. Think about that for a second. One of only 3 in America. And do you know the other 2 states? This is really interesting.
California, New York, or Illinois.
And Bernie Sanders, Vermont.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the only other 2 states, Louisiana, California, and Vermont. Think about that for a second. Those are not folks you want to be in the same sentence with in terms of states with raising taxes.
No, I agree 100% with you. But that is our problem. Under Edwards, I totaled about $7 billion in taxes. They did a penny, then they brought it down to 0.45 for 7 years. The 0.45 was bigger than the 1 penny because the penny was only for 27 months. The 0.45 is lasting 7 years, I think. So, and among other things, when they did the Trump tax cut, our state government took that money. We didn't get that. We never got the break. The state government got it, and they made sure they got it.
Right.
So that's
one of the big differentiation factors between states is which ones took that extra money from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And, of course, there was the Biden bucks floating around all there for probably a lot of the wrong reasons that are addicting the states to more federal money. But, I mean, the question is did the states give it back to taxpayers or did they pocket it and basically take it and be greedy with it and spend it and grow the size and scope of government? And I think we know the answer in Louisiana, unfortunately, under the previous administration. But, I think the positive note out of this, Moon, is that it gives Governor Landry a benchmark to say, hey, you are taking on this incredible task of turning around Louisiana and writing this comeback story. Here's where you started at. And obviously the hope that the future is going to be a whole lot brighter in the next 4 years.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, our governor, along with the Congress, the House and the Senate, actually took our money. It was about $400 million. Put it in the budget. It's reoccurring money. And then brag how they got everything going good. Well, they took money out of people's pocket. Over here, our problem is we fund government first, then we worry about people later. Instead, if you really look at what y'all talking about, the train needs to be the economic development engine that drives the train for your state. The caboose ought to be government. We don't do that here. The caboose is front, and that's why we got a problem. We got the train engine trying to push the whole train up instead of pulling it. And that's exactly what's happened here. So, no, they took our tax cuts. They took it and ran with it, and they got it now.
Well, that's right. I mean, you look at the top states and rich states, poor states, and just as you said, I mean, they empower individuals and small businesses first, and then state government takes it. And guess what? They take as little as can be possible in terms of getting those core functions of government funded and paving roads and taking care of folks as they need in a limited government framework. but they put people first and they put small businesses first. And those states have surpluses. I mean, they have incredible records because guess what? When you're gaining people, it's a whole lot more taxpayers coming into your state anyways. I mean, Texas and Florida gaining, a couple million each on net over the last decade. That's a whole lot of new taxpayers coming into those states. And that's an incredible Laffer curve type story, is when you actually cut taxes and have lower tax burdens. Sometimes the revenue can be greater because you're building the tax base and growing more jobs and growing more population.
Yeah, and I've been explaining this for a long time, but our state, I got to tell you, we are so dependent on the federal government now, Jonathan. It's not even funny. We make it easy to be poor. And then, man, you ought to just drive around communities and find out all the money they're so excited they're getting from the federal government. And I'm just shaking my head, and I'm trying to understand what they're excited about. This is not the way you run an economy. If we don't put the economic engine first, Jonathan, and you'd correct me, we will never stop out migration. We will never have competitive jobs. It's just no way we will never build roads. We got an $18 billion backlog because we only concentrate on taxes and federal government money. It's no way to get to where you want us to get to. And I'm hoping Jeff Landry and the new House and Senate, I know they're trying to get there, but it's no way to get there doing the same things we've been doing. I don't think so. You?
Well, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, I think we know what that is. And it's not sound thinking, right? It's insanity, right? And so you got to change it up. And just as your neighbors are. I mean, Moon, you and I have talked about this several times. I mean, the Southeast is an incredible economic powerhouse in America, one of the biggest growth driving regions in the nation's history now is the Southeast. It didn't used to be that way, as you know. But states like Tennessee and Texas and Florida have been long powerhouses by avoiding personal income taxes. Now, all of a sudden, you've got Arkansas with Sarah Huckabee Sanders at number 15 in rich states, poor states, and dedicated to trying to kill their state income tax. And then you even got Mississippi now, Moon. And Mississippi broke back into the top 20 in economic outlook, surpassing Louisiana, even on the outlook side of things. It became a flat tax state, cut taxes recently. And, guess what? I mean, I think it's got to hit home hard, right, for folks around Louisiana to say, hey, we're behind Mississippi now because they've taken it seriously and have begun to turn things around.
Oh, well, let me tell you something. I saw Mississippi and Arkansas. If you look at the last number, they're kicking our butts. They're kicking our rear ends. People used to laugh at Mississippi and Arkansas. Mississippi and Arkansas is saying, thank God for Louisiana, but Mississippi and Arkansas is moving on. We're not moving at all. Now, once again, there's no cut on Jeff Landry and what's in there now, but I watched 8 years of hell from Bell, and he never cared about this part of the equation. The part of the equation you're talking about, Jonathan, is the part that's going to make Louisiana change the out-migration, grow jobs, grow businesses, have money for roads, have money for infrastructure and taxes, and not raising taxes, just that you're creating it through the economic development. Every time we talk about get rid of income tax, you know what the media does? Well, how are you going to replace $5 billion? That's not the question. It ought to be how is Texas and everybody else doing it? But that's not where you're going to replace the money. They only care about the money for government.
Well, that's right. I mean, but they spend less, right? I mean, Texas and the states without income taxes, on average, spend about 50% less than the states with income taxes. So it's not like they're just reshuffling the deck chairs on the ship and saying we're going to go sky high on sales of property taxes. They're just being more efficient with how they pave roads and how they build schools and everything else. And I think there's a big lesson there. And the great Jack Kemp, great supply side member of Congress and hero for those of us who believe in real free market economics. I mean, his famous line was, you don't raise long-term sustainable revenue by raising tax rates. You raise it by increasing the number of taxpayers. And Louisiana's out, 200,000 net over the last decade, 30,000, as you know well, Moon, in the last year on net to the other 49 states you've lost. It's impossible to ever have enough money to spend on government programs if you're losing that kind of a tax base every year and you're having this loss of economic opportunity drive that out migration.
Yeah, you can't tell our media. Look, I'm going to keep you one more segment, a little short segment when we get back. His name is Jonathan Williams, and, of course, folks, this group of people here with American Legislative Exchange Council is right on the money. And you can check more. We'll find out how people can check more about them when we get back. You're listening to The Moon Griffon Show. Line One is a business telecom provider. Line One specializes in cloud-based communication with superior customer service. If you're frustrated with phone bills you can't understand, endless hold time to customer support, and phone system that is not meeting your needs, then you need to go to Line.one and schedule a free consultation to advance your business phone system. Line One, technology with a human touch. Go to Line.one and tell them Moon sent you. Again, that is Line.one. Oh, Shucks, you've been hearing me brag about Shucks. Been going there for many, many years. Shucks does a great job. If you like seafood, you got to go to Shucks in Abbeville. I'm telling you right now, there's shrimp, there's oysters, there's fish, all fresh every day right off the boat. So if you want something fresh and you want fresh seafood, you got to go to Shucks. Don't forget, if you're having a party, call Shucks. Let them cater the event for you, or you can go pick it up. Shucks, they're waiting on you. If you want a great time and you want great food, you got to go to Shucks in Abbeville. Shucks, oh, they're good. Folks, I want to tell you about one of my new advertisers, Adapt Concepts AC Service Repairs. Oh, serving all of Acadiana, surrounding areas, and the Gulf of Mexico for over 6 years. Full-service AC and heating company, repairs, installation, and preventive maintenance, which is very, very important. Installation service, professional quality services, focus on creating value for you. Terms of certified technician, 24/7 customer service, and free consultation. I'm talking Adapt Concepts, AC service repairs. You want the professionals, you want the best, this is them. Purchase a qualified, high-efficient system for maintenance, plus get a free 12-year parts and labor warranty. Wow, don't you want to know about that? Call them at 337-408-8202. That's 337-408-8202. Or go to the website, adapt-ac.com. That's adapt-ac.com.
Hey, folks, it's...
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. It is an honor to have Jonathan Williams with us. And Jonathan, of course, is they do a wonderful job in their organization. And had a chance to have this guy on here many, many times. And Jonathan, I appreciate everything y'all do at ALEC. But let me ask you a question. This debt that the federal government's running up is $35 trillion. Probably going to be $40 trillion before 2030. And there's going to come a time that the federal government's going to say, we can't send as much money to the states. It's got to. And I know this is coming. A state like ours that's not relying on economy, the private sector to be the train and the engine to drive it. What's going to happen to a state like us when all we do is say, well, can you get the money from the federal government? Half our budget's from the federal government. All these local governments and everybody waiting on government money. What's going to happen when they say, hey, guys, we can't send the money anymore? And we're not driving our own economy because we're not driving our own economy. The federal government and hurricanes are driving our economy.
Well, I mean, I think that is right there, man, the existential question facing a good number of states out there that have hitched their wagon to the federal train. And it's not a pretty picture, as you know, in D.C. right now. You know, we've got Speaker Johnson fighting the good fight and Leader Scalise, and, you know, Louisiana's represented well there, but they're outgunned at the moment. And that deficit and that debt just keeps ticking. I mean, that national debt clock, you want to give yourself a coronary. You want to give yourself some depression and anxiety to pull up the national debt clock website, right? I mean, that is just a horrible example of fiscal irresponsibility. And, you know, all that bad news falls downhill. And it comes to the state level. And then you have scenarios like Louisiana and Mississippi and other states. Mississippi's obviously turned the corner around like we've been talking about, but still overly reliant on federal government to produce the kind of budget that they are used to spending. You know, that's not going to last forever. And if I were in the seat of a state legislator right now, especially as states have been wanting to expand Obamacare and Medicaid expansion like you saw your previous administration do, I mean, that is absolute economic insanity right now to say, let's depend more on this federal government, given the fact that the federal government can't even take care of itself, let alone come back and backfill the misdeeds of states and try to, fill up budget gaps at the state level. I mean, that's not something we can expect going forward, man.
Jonathan, our governor, we had a governor for 8 years, and he's just woke. I mean, he wanted children to get their private parts cut off. This guy was sick. But the media praised him and all that stuff. And he biggest brag when he left was that he expanded Medicaid. Walking out the door, he expanded child care paternity leave. He don't know what it cost. He don't know how many people it affects. He just walked out and said, hey, I signed an executive order, all paternity for state workers now. He don't care what it costs or nothing. Then they bragging they left us a surplus. Listen, 2016 flood, COVID, 5 hurricanes. That's where our money came from. Okay, and a $7 billion increase in taxes. The only thing him and the media and some of these people, elected officials, care about is government having a lot of money. They could care less whether Moon or Jonathan or anybody else has any money, as long as that good old government has money. That's going to be a train wreck up the road. But nobody understands that. They're getting it for their universities in 10 years, $88 million. I mean, it's crazy to watch what's going on.
Well, it's real easy to do that kind of thing, and, you know, you're not going to be there when the bills come due, right, with all these promises that are made, and you know that some future legislature or some future governor is going to have to come up and pay the bills and clean up the issues, right? And that's an issue across the country. But, I mean, you look at Medicaid, for instance. I mean, so many states have taken this bait. And it is exactly that. You know, it might be well-intentioned by some in D.C., but, you know, it's a perfect example of a good intentioned program gone amok because it doesn't pay doctors well enough on reimbursement rates. They don't like it. It's horrible health care for individuals. And, of course, it's the budget buster where your states right now are promised 90% match of federal money. But guess what, Moon? That can be changed fairly easily down to 70 or 50% or whatever that would be. And then, you know, that's either a massive tax increase waiting to happen or it's a massive cut in some other government program at the state level.
Yeah, you know, one of the things, I hate the statement, step in the right direction, because that means nothing's going to happen. But the other one I'm getting mad at is when people say, well, Moon, if we don't take the money, somebody else will. We don't take the money, somebody else will. And Jonathan, I'm just sitting there going, I just look at these people and I laugh at them inside and I think, what a dumbass. I really do. We don't take the money, somebody else will. Anyway, tell us real quick how to get in touch with you and learn more about y'all.
Well, you can go to ALEC.org, ALEC.org. Take a look at Rich States, Poor States at richstatespoorstates.org. Lots of different studies out there on everything from energy and education freedom. I know there's a big discussion right now in Baton Rouge.
Jonathan, I got to go.
Have everybody check out ALEC.
I got to go. Thank you, buddy.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. It's termite season. Did you know termites are responsible for over $1 billion worth of damage in Louisiana alone? For over 60 years, J&J Exterminating has been shielding homes and businesses. 100% guaranteed against termites, pests, and mosquitoes. Louisiana-owned, customer-focused. J&J Exterminating.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating.
Get the shield.
Yeah. Spring is here, and if you love seafood like I do, you need Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning, and Ragin' Cajun's delicious seafood dinners like etouffee, Creole sauce, shrimp and grits, seafood bisque, gumbo and roux. All Ragin' Cajun products are made right here in Acadiana. Folks, trust me, they are good. Ask for the Ragin' Cajun and all your favorite grocery stores today. Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning. Ask them for the Ragin' Cajun. Oh, man, I love me some Superior Grill. Superior Grill, the best Mexican food in the state of Louisiana, bar none, baby. They are the best, and you're going to love them, too. They got great drinks and food, and the atmosphere is second to none. They know what they're doing. They know how to serve. Hey, folks, you do know they cater. They do cater. Superior Grill, located in New Orleans, Shreveport, and Baton Rouge, Lafayette right around the corner. You're going to love Superior Grill. You're going to love the atmosphere. You're going to love the taste. They can handle anything you got. Folks, they got happy hours. They really serve the people. And you're going to love Superior Grill. I love it. You're going to love it. I cannot wait to go to Superior Grill. I've been going to Superior Grill now for 29 years. Let me tell you, I know all about Superior Grill. And I want good Mexican food. I'm going to Superior Grill. I want to see you there. We're going to have a blast.
Looking for a place. This hour brought to you by Matthew James Tax and Wealth Management. Online at MatthewJames.com.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. What a day. What a day. Hump day. Beautiful day. 844-766-6607 is the number. Matthew James Tax Wealth Management Hotline. We're joined again by Mr. Gifford Briggs, American Petroleum Institute. Giff, what's up?
Hey, Moon, this is starting to get serious here. This is twice in a week.
Well, it's twice in a week, but considering you don't hang around with us anymore because you moved to bigger and better things, I'm gonna let it pass this time, brother. If you came on next week, I'm gonna start.
Better, just different.
I'm gonna start asking you if you Bobby Jindal. I think he was on 43 times in 18 months and tried to come on about 20 more times. So that's another whole story, Gifford. I don't want to get you caught on that. All right, Gifford. We're gonna deal with the EPA and some of the stuff that y'all doing. I know the EPA granted Louisiana the right and the power to advance their carbon capture projects in the state. So why do you think this is significant?
Because primacy's huge, right? I mean, the ability for Louisiana to be in control of its own destiny rather than relying on the federal government is critical, right? Obviously, I don't have to tell you this, but relying on the federal government to get anything done quickly is probably not the best idea. And so just from an efficiency standpoint, Louisiana being able to grant permits is huge. But much more important than that is that the Louisiana, particularly the Office of Conservation and the Department of Energy and Natural Resources, has the expertise necessary. It understands Louisiana's geology. It understands Louisiana's climate. It understands the people of Louisiana and the communities of Louisiana. And so when they make decisions, they're going to be able to accurately consider all of those things if they decide to move forward with a permit. Whereas the federal government, while they'll do their best to do that, Washington's a long ways from the bayous of Louisiana.
Let me ask the question, though. The only thing I'm concerned about this, and it's one big one, since the federal government's the one giving the tax credits and sending money on all these projects, don't you think if they wanted to change that, they could in 2 seconds? I'm just asking because that's what they do. If they got any money involved or they got oversight on anything, are you really going to have what you think you have?
Yeah, well, look, our industry is certainly one that understands that the federal government has the ability to change its perspective on things from time to time. And we talked about it on Monday with, companies planning to build multi-billion-dollar LNG facilities, and the federal government decides it's election season, so we don't want to do that anymore.
Correct.
And certainly the 45Q tax credits are one that the federal government and Congress and potentially the president acting alone, I guess, have the ability to be able to go in and change and tweak, as they did a few years ago when they increased the value of the credit. That being said, I think that the industry is beginning to move in a way where the credits may not be as critical to the long-term deployment of CCS as it is in the beginning, as it is with any sort of new. I don't say industry, but I think it's a new industry.
Why? Some of these questions may be tough for you to answer, but I know you can handle them. Why? And I'm gonna let me put it in a way, and you can change it. But why not? And this is my opinion on it. Why? I think the oil and gas industry has given up and has accepted the fact that the EPA has put so much pressure on y'all for like carbon capture, which creates nothing. I think that's the biggest joke I've ever read. You can't convince me any more than that because if there wasn't money involved, y'all wouldn't be doing it. But are you concerned that their ultimate goal is to take over the oil and gas industry? It's the one thing the federal government has not been able to get hold of. And that's my big concern in the big picture, Gifford. And I just think carbon capture is just a joke when it comes to saying that produces something.
Yeah, well,
we're not saving them. I don't think you're doing it to save the planet. Don't get me wrong here. I don't think anybody in the oil and gas industry is doing it to save a planet. But they're throwing out a lot of money, and I don't think oil and gas would be touching this. Y'all want to drill for oil and fracking and natural gas and all that. Y'all wouldn't be touching this without federal money involved because there is a lot of federal money involved.
I'll look at that in two different ways. One, we have been using CO2 and sequestering it in the ground for the purpose of EOR to produce oil for a long time. So I think that this is sort of a next evolution of that already. And the other side, the industry has been, going back to 1901 in the oil fields in Jennings, Louisiana, to where we are today. The industry continues to look for ways to reduce its environmental footprint, whether that's the use of horizontal drilling. So instead of having to drill 12 wells, we can drill one well. And carbon capture is absolutely a part of that next evolution. Certainly, it has to be financially viable. Companies can't just throw money at something and there not be a return or some other economic calculation that.
Gifford, your dog disagrees with you, by the way.
Yeah. Well, listen.
I think your dog's right on this one. No, really, Gifford. I'm being blunt with you. I didn't sit down with Green New Deal people and all that stuff, and they tell me throw away the money. Nobody's messing with carbon capture. It basically produces nothing. There's just a lot of money in it right now. The money goes away, that will too. I think it's silly to even be messing with carbon capture. I do. You can disagree with me because it's the money, but if you take away the money, there is no such thing as carbon capture. That just goes by the wayside.
And look, I think that's true with anything, right? If you take away the money, it all kind of goes away.
But Gifford, I just wanted you to admit if there's no money, y'all oil and gas wouldn't be jacking with. That's it. That's the only thing I'm trying to make the point. Everything else you're saying, I understand it, but I'm just making that point. I think this would be gone without federal money being involved in it.
And that may be it, certainly in the beginning phases of it. But again, this is not a short-term investment, right? It's sort of like when companies make decisions to explore and produce for oil and natural gas in the Gulf of Mexico. They're not looking at the price today. They're thinking about what the long-term value is going to be, because you and I both know that the price of oil can fluctuate, and companies aren't making decisions based on what they think it is today. They're making a decision based on what the value is in the future. These CCS projects are not, projects where in 2 years from now that they're going, to be completely done. These are projects that potentially could be injecting CO2 for decades. And so the value proposition has to be there for these companies to make this investment, not just today based off the credits today, but based off where they think the industry is going and where they see things moving forward in the future.
Let me ask you a quick question.
It's a much bigger calculation than that.
What does it produce? What does it produce that's going to be a return on investment, except that the federal government, kind of like EVs, they're putting all this money in there and they're just killing us. I think this is all part of that, but that's another story. I understand it. What does it produce? What does it really produce in the future that somebody's going to want to keep investing at the federal government? The federal government said today, hey, guys, we ain't got no more money. You think they'll continue with carbon capture? I'm talking about what the EPA is requiring.
Yeah, I think that you're right, and that there may be some companies whose entire business model is based off the ability to utilize and take advantage of whatever incentives and credits are available to the federal government. And so for those companies that are uniquely focused on maximizing those credits, they might go away. But I think there are other companies that are making these investments looking 20 or 30 years down the road, and it's part of their overall core mission to, reduce their environmental footprint. And I think those companies are going to continue to find ways to make these investments because they make sense for their company for different reasons.
Well, I know, and look, Gifford, you didn't come on here for me to bash back and forth with you a little bit, but I did want to do that because
look, Moon, I'm happy. I enjoy the conversation.
No, but let me tell you something.
I enjoy the discussion.
I've had people that were friends of mine say, "You let me talk to Moon and about this carbon capture." I'm gonna set him straight. Hey, people call me and tell me. So people I ain't seen in years, and I go visit with them. And I'm telling you, we wouldn't talk about this for 5 seconds because I would ask them about the money, and they would stop right there and agree that this is nothing but money. And we'd be talking about families and what your kids are doing because they couldn't go anywhere else with it. I know this is your job. I'm worried. My big concern of this is that the federal government get a hold of the oil and gas industry and they own it because they put so much money in it, and that's my big concern. And I know what y'all doing too. And I know you're going to be honest with me on this. The EPA has done nothing but beat up the oil and gas industry for 30 and 40 years. And you guys are under a lot of pressure. That's it. That's really what I wanted to say.
Yeah, well, look, the great thing about our industry is that we continue to evolve and we continue to survive when administrations change, EPA administrators change, presidents change, but the industry, we evolve. And as we talked about on Monday, the demand for oil and natural gas and the demand for cleaner oil and natural gas is only continuing to grow. And our industry is going to lead the way to do that. And fortunately for you, Louisiana is leading the way globally in this space. And it's great news for the people of Acadiana because there's a lot of great men and women and small businesses across Acadiana that are going to be able to take advantage of this opportunity where, for once, Texas doesn't have it. And right now, Mississippi doesn't have it. And Arkansas doesn't have it. And Alabama doesn't have it.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I think it's gonna be devastating for us before it's over. I hope, Gifford, you are 100% on the mind. Hey, Giff, people want to find out more about it. How can they get in touch with you? I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah, sure. They can go to api.org and find out more about the organization, or you can always email me directly if you're interested at briggsg@api.org.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime, Gifford Briggs. Thank you, bud. Spring is here, and if you love seafood like I do, you need Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun seasoning, and Ragin' Cajun's delicious seafood dinners like etouffee, Creole sauce, shrimp and grits, seafood bisque, gumbo, and roux. All Ragin' Cajun products are made right here in Acadiana. Folks, trust me, they are good. Ask for the Ragin' Cajun and all your favorite grocery stores today. Ragin' Cajun, the original Cajun season. Ask them for the Ragin' Cajun.
As Louisiana's only fiberglass manufacturer and fabricator, C-Safe Fiberglass Grading and Structural Systems has provided corrosion-resistant products to the Gulf Coast for over 45 years. Our fiberglass grading, cable trays, and structural shapes are ideal to replace corroded, rotting building products and can be custom fabricated by the best fiberglass craftsmen in the world, right here in Lafayette. Contact C-Safe or visit our website at csafe.com. That's SEA like the ocean, SAFE.com.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. It's termite season. Did you know termites are responsible for over $1 billion worth of damage in Louisiana alone? For over 60 years, J&J Exterminating has been shielding homes and businesses. 100% guaranteed against termites, pests, and mosquitoes. Louisiana-owned, customer-focused. J&J Exterminating.
Call him today, make pests go away. J&J Exterminating.
Get the shield.
Yeah.
When you think about how welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. All righty. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607 is the number. It's Matthew James, Tax Wealth Management Hotline, if you'd like to be part of the program. Go ahead. I appreciate Gifford. Gifford's been coming on this program for a long time. The carbon capture, though, is Gifford bragged that we got this going on in Louisiana, especially in the area, and then he made the comment that some of these companies are probably going to be fly-by-night places. I think a lot of them are going to be when the federal government says we don't have any more money. Talking to my climate czar and other people, and even talking to friends of mine, they admit it's money. And I understand because I've been explained by the same oil and gas people. You got to understand we're trying to survive. Okay, I get it. I really get that part of it. I know people are trying to survive, but this is government driven. No one in the industry wants it and knows it's a force, but that's where the money's coming, and that's my concern. The federal government, under the left, they want to control every part of your life. That's what Democrats do now. Every part. What kind of tennis shoes you wear, the drawers you put on, how much water you do, how many times you flush your commode. They want to control it all. And they never have, but when they put that money out there, billions of dollars, oil and gas has been one of the main ones to jump up and down and say, we'll take it. We'll take it. They got $7.8 billion coming down the pipe for EV stations and going to put all these EV chargers all over the place, infrastructure. And oil and gas industry is the one jumping up and down about it. They're the ones who want the money. We got fracking and oil and gas and coal and natural gas. We good to go. This other stuff is just crazy. But I understand what they're doing. All right, let's go to phone lines. Go to Paul in Broussard, Louisiana. Paul, how you doing?
Just fine, young man. How's everything?
Paul, despite me, I'm hanging in there, my brother.
Well, that's great. Listen, they always talking about climate change and everything and all this, but I was listening to the news last night, and the hottest temperature on record was, I think it was 90s. It was in the mid-90s. I forgot exactly, but it was in 1898.
Yeah.
So I guess we had climate change in 1898. You
know what? They've if you look at date and look, this whole thing up with the climate is set up. The latest thing that they found out, feds are using data from temperature stations that no longer exist to prove global warming. And I had the climate czar on the other day. So this is the worst thing, one of the worst things he's ever read. So you had these stations, and people were doing it. People moved. People died off. They don't even use them. But they were still getting information from them and counting that in their records. The whole thing has been such a lie. That's why I didn't want the oil and gas and chemical plants and everybody buying into this. Why people shouldn't be running out and doing solar panels and windmills and all that. It's to the left in the media. They think this is great because now it looks like, look, they agree with us because they're doing this when that's not what's happening. There's just an awful lot of money out there. And like I said, Paul, I don't care.
Exactly.
If you want solar panels, buy them. Put that sucker all over if that's what you want. If you want something with windmills, I get it. I ain't got a problem with that. But let's get to all the federal money, all of our taxpayer dollars out of it, and let's see how if it can stand on its own 2 feet. And the fact is, it can't. So the lies continue.
And, they came out there, and excuse me, but they talk about that's why they have to change it from climate change. I'm sorry, from the heat to climate change.
Yeah, global warming to climate change.
With the heat.
Yeah, global warming we were having. No, they did climate change, and that way every weather pattern can be brought into the climate change discussion.
Exactly.
By the way, this is something, and Gifford was not the guy. I wouldn't pick it on Gifford. I was just asking questions. But here's my question to you. When do you think Joe Biden and all these climate gurus and nut jobs, when are they going to tell us our energy prices are going to come down? When are they going to tell us the budget deficit is going to start going down? When does all the good stuff happen about this? When do we supposed to see the good stuff happen? You know what it is? We never will. Your energy costs will continue to increase. The budget deficit's going up. It's sad that American people have bought into the biggest lie I've ever seen in my whole life.
I'll tell you what, and they're good at lying, I will admit.
Professionals. Some of the best ever.
They got it down pat.
Yeah, I love the oil and gas industry. I love the people that work in it. I think they're the hardest working people in the world. I think the oil and gas and what we've done and what we found, we got enough natural gas for 5 million years probably. We got oil. We got everything we need. We don't need none of this other stuff. The only reason this other stuff is even talked about, solar panel, windmills, and carbon capture, is because of the amount of trillions of dollars coming down through the federal government. Trillions. It ain't billions. It's trillions.
And that's all they worried about. They're not worried about the United States or the people of the United States. They're just worried about the darn money.
Well, of course that's all. Money's God now. You didn't know that?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
you hit it on the head.
Yeah. All right, got to go. Thanks for the call. Somebody writes all his biofood plants are a multi-level scam. They make the phony fuel and then do the carbon capture off the the pot off the process. Here's my question. Don't y'all think these people, and I'm not talking about oil and gas, the government, shouldn't they be able to tell us when the prices will start going down? When we got so much energy, we got plenty of it? Shouldn't they tell us when if World War III cranks out, are we going to fight it with windmills? We're going to fight it with solar panels, or we're going to fight it with carbon capture and electricity? How are we going to fight it? Let me tell you something. You let it get too cold and people are dying, people are going to realize this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. And it is nuts. That's why I don't want to take any of the money. And it's our money anyway. I don't want my money being invested in stupidity. And windmills and solar panels and carbon. I just think it's, well, I understand solar panels. I understand people taking solar and doing something around their house or yard, but it bothers me that some of these nice farming places are turning into solar farms. I understand people getting into business wanting to make money. Got that too. I've advertised for solar companies before. I get it. I do. But I just don't understand the big picture of it, I guess. I'm trying to understand the big picture. I want to know when my prices are going to start going down. Yeah, somebody said record highs and lows in the 1800s and the 1900s. Exactly. I've seen a newsman right here locally go, well, back then it was just the temperature, it was the weather. Now it's the weather and climate change. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. They manipulated this whole thing. We don't have enough people fighting back. Hell, we joining them. Our people are joining them. All right, John Kennedy. I got some audio from John Kennedy dealing with Mayorkas that you got to hear. We'll do that in the third hour. All right, rest of y'all, God bless. Have a great day.
For the absolute best in local Cajun food, check out Prejean's in their 2 locations in Carencro and Broussard today.
Diane from Michigan, a disabled senior citizen trying to get by. Henry from Florida, a veteran fighting to make ends meet. Elena from Arizona, a mother struggling to feed her daughter. Hi, I'm Connie Britton, and I support Feeding America because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year, like Diane, Henry, and Elena. Learn more at feedingamerica.org. Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman to save money.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need feedthepig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
For those fortunate enough to help the person who has always been their hero, find the care guides you need to help at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
News Talk 96.5 KPEL, Brobridge, Lafayette, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the Matthew James Financial Studio.
A university president on the Capitol Hill Grill. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Columbia's Manoush Shafiq at a hearing about anti-Semitism on campus.
Regrettably, the events of October 7th brought to the fore an undercurrent of anti-Semitism that is a major challenge.
She says Columbia has taken steps to address anti-Semitism. Fox Business's Lydia Hu.
Columbia President Shafiq has had about 4 months to prepare for this because that's when the last hearing took place, when we saw all the fireworks that ultimately led to the resignations of Harvard President Claudine Gay and University of Pennsylvania President Liz McGill. Shafiq has acknowledged a rise in anti-Semitism on campus, but she insists the university has taken action. Anti-Defamation League issued its campus anti-Semitism report card. It examined 85 schools and assigned a grade ranging from A through F. Columbia got a D as in dog in its efforts to combat anti-Semitism.
Meantime, a protest on campus today demanding Columbia divest from companies with ties to Israel. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says House impeachment articles against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas should be dismissed, but that the Senate will still prepare for a trial.
Senators will provide as jurors in the least legitimate, least substantive, and most politicized impeachment trial ever in the history of the United States.
House Republicans accuse Mayorkas of willfully violating immigration laws. Schumer says it's a policy disagreement that doesn't meet the constitutional definition of high crimes and misdemeanors. Senate Democrats could move to table or dismiss the case without a full trial. Bipartisan concerns at a hearing on Boeing safety after recent incidents on jets, including a midair door panel blowout and a wheel falling off on takeoff.
Both Boeing and the FAA need strong and effective safety management systems, not in name, but in reality.
Washington Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell chairs the Commerce Committee hearing a whistleblower's concerns. The company says its planes are safe. America is listening to Fox News.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is Medi-Share. Maybe you've heard switching to Medi-Share to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for Medi-Share is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. Medi-Share works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 877-64-BIBLE. That's 877-64-BIBLE. 877-64-BIBLE.
The leader of a key NATO ally meets with the former U.S. president to press for more aid to Ukraine.
Polish President Andrzej Duda is expected to meet with former President Trump in New York. European leaders are preparing for the possibility of the presumptive Republican nominee to return to office next year. Duda has a strong relationship with former President Trump. Considered a right-wing populist in Poland, Duda was boosted in a re-election race in 2020 after a meeting with then-President Trump at the White House.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. Poland shares a border with Ukraine. Duda and Poland's prime minister met with President Biden earlier this year. The president spending his second day in Pennsylvania, focusing today on steel and China. A senior editor who accused National Public Radio of liberal bias has just resigned. In a social media post, Jerry Berliner calls NPR a great American institution where he's worked for 25 years. He does not support calls to defund NPR, but says he can't work in a newsroom where he's disparaged by a new CEO whose divisive views, he says, confirm the problems he had cited in a recent essay. Berliner had been suspended over his recent published criticism.
Berliner wrote in the Free Press, quote, "It is true NPR has always had a liberal bent, but during most of my tenure here, an open-minded, curious culture prevailed. We were nerdy, but not knee-jerk, activist, or scolding. In recent years, however, that has changed." In response, editor-in-chief Edith Chapman said she strongly disagreed in a memo to staff obtained by Fox, quote, "We're proud to stand behind the exceptional work that our desks and shows do to cover a wide range of challenging stories. We believe that inclusion among our staff, with our sourcing, and in our overall coverage is critical to telling the nuanced stories of this country and our world."
Fox's Mike Emanuel. Stocks are lower. Right now, the Dow's down 121 points. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.